Okay, guys, it has been a day now. I've let it all kind of go through my system. I've digested what happened at the Emirates. That was incredible. As you know, I said at the start of the season that I would like to do player ratings every now and again, and this is definitely a game where I want to talk about how the players performed. We're going to go through each individual player that started, and of course, I'll mention the subs. And added to this episode, we have a manager rating as well. So we'll go ahead and give Arteta a rating out of 10 at the end of the video. So let's start off in goal. Of course, Ramsdale had a few, I guess, quiet moments throughout the game where Manchester United just weren't really doing anything. We dominated most of the game in terms of attacking play. When he was called upon, he made a couple of good saves. I think he got a touch on Rashford's goal, which maybe, I think in some ways it can make it look better than it was, the strike. If he's getting a hand to it, maybe he could have got a bit more, but I'm not blaming him one bit. And I still think he had a very decent performance. I'd go ahead and just give him a 7. I don't think he performed perfectly, and he didn't have a bad game either. It was an above average performance from everyone, really. And I think 7 is more than fair. Maybe I'm being harsh, but obviously there will be higher ratings as we go. Ben White back in his original right back position, but of course he ends up tucking inside to play as 3 centre backs. You know, they all shift over and Zinchenko inverts into midfield. And having Ben White there as opposed to inside where Saliba is right now, it is, I think, the best position for Ben White at this present time. And I think he was very, very good. I'd give him an 8. And I'm sorry if I'm not very neat with the mouse. It's actually not that easy, but I kind of like drawing. It's kind of a bit more, I don't know. It just feels better doing it in the video. But anyway, we'll move on into the 2 centre-back positions. We've got Saliba and Gabriel. We'll talk about Gabriel after. Saliba was, again, just solid. Wasn't his best game. Wasn't his worst game. It was just a very, very solid performance. I think I wouldn't say he was necessarily worse than Ben White, but he definitely wasn't better than Ben White. I think maybe I'm going to go with a 7.5. Maybe he didn't have just as good as a game as Ben White. And I think, you know, Saliba, whilst it was Ben White as well with Rashford's goal, I think they both could have done a little bit better, but Saliba, I feel like he could have reacted just a little bit faster, in my opinion, and I'm a professional centre-back, so I should know. Gabriel was solid yesterday. I'm so happy to have him back in the team. I think there were some real concerns for me that he wasn't getting in the team for tactical reasons, and I'm not sure if that's because Partey was being shoehorned in at right back, or whether it was because maybe the transfer window was still open and there were bids for him from the Saudi League especially. I'm going to give him an 8. I think he was very good yesterday. I really appreciated Gabriel's performance, and in the opposition's box as well. The amount of corners we had, and he's always a threat. Zinchenko, back from injury. He did come off later on in the game. I don't think it was Zinchenko's best game either. The thing is, like, I don't actually feel like Arsenal played particularly great yesterday. We were just good. We were really good. And we still had a gear to go into, I think. I would feel comfortable giving Zinchenko a 7. I don't think it needs to be any higher than that. I think on average, our defence was just good. Just very good yesterday. Very clean. Obviously, we conceded that one goal, that stupid counter-attacking goal that we always love to concede. And there is a little bit of a worrying stat going around. Apparently, 7 times in 2023, and we're, 9 months in, 7 times we've conceded the first shot of the game on target on our goal. That has to change. That simply has to change, and that's on all of them. Now, moving on into midfield, Declan Rice, you could argue, man of the match. He did score the winner. I know he went on and scored a third when Jesus came on. Oh, I haven't included Jesus. I'll put him on in a minute on the bench. But Declan Rice, for me, was man of the match. He had the moment. He did win us the game. We wouldn't have got that third goal if Rice didn't score. Would we have potentially attacked? Yes, of course, because we wouldn't have settled for the draw. But the way that we kind of relaxed as soon as Rice scored and just took that last minute counter as a chance, we probably wouldn't have done that. I don't know. It's obviously difficult to say. But Declan Rice, for me, is going to get the highest rating of the team. and that is going to be a 9. I think Declan Rice was absolutely incredible. That's 2 man of the match performances already since he signed, and boy, we need him. It was really devastating last season whenever Partey wasn't available, and we didn't have anyone that could really step in and do that job. We didn't miss Partey. Just let that sink in. We did not miss Partey yesterday. At least I don't think it felt like we were missing him too much at all. It's obvious we need Partey fit, okay? Obviously, it's a good thing, but the fact that Declan Rice could step in and do such a good job, I really, really appreciated his performance. Ødegaard scored the equaliser just a minute after we conceded. That was a huge moment in the game. My captain, I love this guy. I think I'm going to give him an 8. I don't think he was a 9. I don't think he had the perfect game. There was a few moments where I think he could have been in a better position when we lost the ball. And I know he's an attacking player for us. I know he's not meant to be defensively one of our rocks. But especially when we're playing Havertz at the same time, which we'll get onto in a minute, there's moments where both of them are caught too far forward. And Declan Rice, although he can play in that DM role and cover for players, he's not a Kante. He's not 2 players in one. He can't be in 2 places in one time. And I think, they scored from Havertz losing the ball and Ødegaard being caught out a little bit as well. Basically in this area here where I think if he was just more positionally aware defensively as well, it would have been fine. But otherwise, very, very strong appearance. Kai Havertz, for me, was disappointing, for sure. He had that shot, or miscued shot, in the first half, which he has to be scoring, or at least getting the shot on target. It looked like he, at the very last second, thought, I need to pass this to Nketiah. I need to flick it onto him. I wish he just laced it. I wish he absolutely smashed it at Onana. For me, Kai Havertz gets a 6. I think, let me do that again. It's a little bit small. Give him a big fat 6. It was a very average performance. I think 5 would signify an average performance, and I don't think he was awful. There were moments where he was quite good, quite neat, but he lost the ball on the goal we conceded. He missed a huge chance, and let's face it, he's not very confident at the moment, and there is a player I want to start in the next game after the international break. We'll talk about that in a moment. Up to the front 3 now. We had Saka on the right, Martinelli on the left, and Eddie Nketiah with his England call-up, by the way, through the middle. Saka, I'm going to give a 7.5. I don't think he necessarily had his best game either, really. He didn't score, for example. Maybe could have had a couple more opportunities to score. I just think the ball didn't really end up where he was. It just wasn't meant to be Saka's game, but he was still very dangerous. He still made things happen, and he wasn't bad, was he? He still had a good game. Martinelli, he has had a slow start to the season, but he got the assist for Ødegaard. The amount of corners he won, I'm tempted to just say 7.5 as well. I don't think Saka was better or worse than him. I think they were both very decent on the day. They got their jobs done. They took on players. I just wish Gabriel Martinelli, that is, would be sometimes a little bit less direct. He obviously loves to run at players and try and get to the byline and whip it in or whatever. Sometimes I want him to do what Saka does more. Get in on that right foot and have a shot. I would really like to see more of that. Nketiah was relatively quiet, to be honest. I was going to say a 7, but that feels a bit harsh. But then again, I don't think he did more than that, so I'm just going to go with a 7. And this is, of course, a whole day after the game finished. I might have felt differently right after the game. In terms of the starting lineup, though, I was happy with it. I just wasn't sure about Havertz starting. I think it's very clear that he does need to be dropped in the next game, although it could crush his mentality. But there is a player I would start ahead of him, and that is a certain Vieira, who came on and was incredible. First, let's do Nelson. He came on, and actually, he was incredible. He was the reason we scored the 3rd goal. He was running at players. He was causing mayhem for the short time he was on. And I actually think for a substitute appearance, there isn't much better in terms of impact. I'm going to give him an 8. And I'm not saying that he gave an 8 out of 10 performance for the whole game, because of course he wasn't on for the whole game. But for his short spell, that is one of the worst 8s I think I could have done. Let's see if I can do that a bit better. That's even worse, but you get the point. No, I have to. Guys, I have to. Oh my God. Okay, that'll do. Really, really happy with his performance when he came on. Vieira, I think in terms of a substitute appearance, it was almost perfect. He got the assist for the Jesus goal. I think, did he? No, he didn't take the corner. What happened with the Rice goal? Was that... I think that might have been Saka who whipped that in. Either way, I think Vieira was vital and, again, has come on as a sub and changed the game. So I was really impressed with him. Emile Smith-Rowe, though. Why wasn't Emile Smith-Rowe getting on? I don't know. Tomiyasu was fine. Nothing went wrong. Did absolutely fine. Jorginho came on. Didn't do anything spectacular. Just calmed down the play a little bit. Where is Jesus? There he is. Let me just bring him onto the subs here. And Jesus, I mean, he scored. He made things happen. I think I'd also give him a 9. It's funny, really. All of the subs were good. I'd actually say that Nelson probably deserves a 9 as well. But in terms of affecting the play, okay, I know. Why isn't that letting me... Oh, I've got it. I'm on the wrong layer. There we go. Let's just get rid of that. Let's go with an 8 for Vieira as well. I think Jesus deserves the 9 because he got a goal. I mean, what more do you want from the substitute appearance? You just want a goal, right? So, yeah, I was very, very happy with all of that. And then Mikel Arteta, I mean, he got it right. What did he do wrong? The only thing I would have said is maybe starting Vieira. And I think maybe in the next game when we come back, it's Everton, right? I want to see Vieira start in this position here. I think he deserves it. And if not Vieira, maybe we do put Trossard in there or Emile Smith-Rowe, just something different. But Arteta, I think I'd go with an 8. I think starting Havertz is a minus point. I really wouldn't have done that personally. That's just me. And I would have liked to have seen Vieira come on a little bit earlier, personally. But how can you give a -1 for that? Maybe he deserves a 9, but it's difficult, isn't it? Everyone had a very decent performance and a few players excelled it a little bit more. But this guy right here, I'm so happy we've got Declan Rice. It is a huge signing. It really is. And the fact, again, that we didn't really miss Partey, I think that says it. That says it all. And what a moment for Rice. His new club, and I'm hoping the club for the rest of his career. I think he can really make Arsenal his club and we can build a team around him. He's going to be a captain if he stays long enough. I truly believe that. Great to see the back four start again. My favourite back four is the top defence for us, I think. And also, what do you do after the international break? Do you give Jesus a start or do you go with Nketiah? Do you play Havertz as a number 9 instead? We've got options. But thank you for watching, guys. Tomorrow we're back with the Luton career mode and I will see you then.